We've got groceries. Hey everyone, welcome back to Chanel's. Hey everybody, welcome back to Chanel's Crohn's and Colitis channel, where we talk about all things Crohn's and colitis. My name is Chanel, and today I want to talk about the diet and lifestyle changes that I have been doing leading up to prepare for the anal fistula surgery. So just as a reminder, everything in this video that I recommend and that I talk about is what works for my body personally. Everyone with IBD has such different results with different food and different diets. It's nearly impossible to have a one-size-fits-all diet for people with inflammatory bowel diseases. So everything that I'm sharing today is just what works for me personally, and it's also a lot of research that I gathered from the IBD community, from different articles and research that I've found that is the best possible outcome to try and have a successful anal fistula surgery. So we're gonna get started. So let's first discuss some of the things that I have cut out of my diet in preparation for surgery. First and foremost is alcohol. In the past, every time that I drank alcohol, it never made my stomach feel very good. So it was kind of a no-brainer. A couple months ago, when the surgery got scheduled, I decided to cut alcohol out of my routine entirely. And that's made a big difference. I have felt a lot more regular because of it. And I do think that it has been a really positive lifestyle choice that hopefully I'll take into the new year after recovery and on. Another thing that I cut out of my diet specifically is dairy. Again, this is personal to me. I have just found that dairy has never really sat well with me, despite my favorite food on the planet being macaroni and cheese and burrata, and really honestly, any kind of cheese is my favorite. But it never makes me feel really good either. So I knew that with the surgery coming up, I wanted to, again, remove things from my diet that were going to upset my stomach. So I do still try and incorporate products such as this yogurt right here that I got. This is cashew yogurt, but specifically it has a lot of probiotics in it. So I still like to incorporate some products that I can still use in my recipes. Like I really enjoy oat milk as well. There are good butter alternatives, things like that. Again, this is just what I'm doing currently because it makes my stomach feel better and I want to be in the best possible place before my surgery. Something else that I have cut out that got recommended to me is the food group of nightshades. So this includes tomatoes, eggplants, bell peppers, potatoes. As much as I love tomatoes in specific as part of that food group, I have found that due to the acidity and the peel and the seeds, they don't quite sit well with me either. So when someone brought that up to me as a food group that can be really irritating to people with IBD, as much as I didn't want to accept it, I decided that at least during this time period of life while I'm preparing for the surgery, I was gonna cut those out. A note about people who do have fistulas is food items that have small seeds such as sesame seeds, poppy seeds, tomatoes, or any nut butter that isn't completely smooth, so any almond butter that still has got some texture to it, things like that. Those can be very uncomfortable for people with fistulas. Let's just say that as those products that go down into the rectum through the stool, when that fistula tract catches a little bit of those items, they can sometimes get lodged in the fistula tract. And my goodness, you get very sore for quite a few days. So I try to avoid those types of foods entirely just for my own sake. And a big no-no that I have really never been able to handle or tolerate is popcorn. And I think that's a pretty common one amongst the IBD community, but popcorn is aggressively painful if I consume it in any way, shape, or form. So no popcorn. Fresh corn kind of sucks too. I do dabble in some corn products, but not too many. Also coffee. I didn't used to be able to drink coffee. I've recently been able to enjoy a couple cups a week thanks to the medication that I'm on, which is Entyvio. It has gotten me back to a place where I'm able to enjoy a couple cups of coffee, but I like to still keep that quite minimal, just again due to the acidity, and it can tear up my stomach sometimes. So that's a majority of the things that I have cut out of my diet in preparation for the surgery. So now onto the things that I'm adding into my diet. So first and foremost, probiotics. These are a daily routine that I try to incorporate all the time. Again, with IBD, I'm sure you've heard of probiotics, or if you haven't, you should get on some. Another thing that I like to incorporate into my diet as often as possible is turmeric. So as you'll see, I have my big bottle of ground turmeric here from Costco, and I have various different teas that have turmeric in it. I put this when I make rice. I put it in a lot of my broths, just anywhere I can incorporate turmeric that would still make the meal taste okay, I put it in there. And then of course the tea, any tea that has ginger and turmeric in it is gonna be wonderful as far as anti-inflammatory properties and just keeping things not so angry in there. So turmeric, turmeric, turmeric on everything. So in preparation for the surgery and after surgery, one of the biggest tips I got was making sure that your stool is the right consistency. So you don't want it to be, of course, too liquid or diarrhea in that you're going a bunch of times and it's watery and it's a mess. You don't want any of that. But you also don't want it to be rock hard or painful or anything that is going to anger the surgery site. So the ideal stool texture is going to be a soft serve like texture. So in order to achieve that, I have been recommended to start working Miralax into my routine a couple days before surgery. Again, do not overdo it. Just a little bit, whatever the recommended dosage is, maybe even have that. Just make sure that, you know, everything is coming out smooth and as normal as possible. So I tend to err on the side of constipation, so that's why this is something that I'm working into my diet. If my IBD was the type that was to err more on the diarrhea side, I probably would not be doing this. So if that's you, maybe cut this out of the recommendation. But when you have the surgery, between the anesthesia and the pain medication that they prescribe you, you can get pretty constipated and backed up from those things. So they do prescribe you stool softeners in addition to the pain medication. So it's really recommended that you take those again in order to try and keep things soft and just moving through the body. But because you do get backed up from those medications, it's best when you get out of surgery to have light meals. Don't stuff your face in one sitting. Just have almost little snacks at various points throughout the day until you are able to use the restroom, and just again ease into it because you don't want to overload your system with too much. So on that note, as important as it is to include fiber in your diet with IBD, although this is a pretty controversial subject in our community, but I do believe that having fiber in your diet is beneficial. Of course, again, do not overdo it. But in this case, when preparing for surgery or during recovery, it's really good to keep those fibrous foods really soft and easy to digest. So on that note, some of the things that I got for recovery are as follows. Soft fruits. Those are really good forms of fiber that can just sit really nicely in your stomach and not bother you too much. Banana is a perfect example of that, so get some bananas. Another great example is something like applesauce. I personally cannot do applesauce. As a little side note, my mother, when I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis when I was a kid, used to grind my medication into the applesauce because I was not able to swallow a pill at the time. And ever since that time, I cannot stomach applesauce because it just takes me right back to the flavor of really gross crushed medication mixed in, and I just can't do it. But if you are able to do applesauce, that is also a really great, soft, fibrous food. Something else that I'm planning to do is make good old chicken noodle soup. I did buy a rotisserie chicken, but I also have a ravenous toddler who stole it from me when I got home and tore it apart and made sure he got a bunch of it. So I don't have a rotisserie chicken to show you for my video, but picture one here. One of my favorite things to do when recovering from anything is to make a good chicken noodle soup, of course. Highly recommended when you have IBD to have bone broth as much as possible. I bought some of these Kettle and Fire brand bone broths. There's a classic chicken, and this one is turmeric ginger. So I would always recommend making your own if possible, but they do have brands such as these that do sell them in case you are not in a place to be able to make your own. But definitely always opt for a bone broth rather than just a regular chicken stock or something like that, because all the nutrients that you get from within the bone broth, that's really good for your gut health. So I got some of these to try out just to have as quick, easy backups if I need it. But my plan is to use that rotisserie chicken, put it in a pot for at least 4 hours on low, really get a good broth out of there. And if you use a rotisserie chicken, all that meat falls off of it as well. So that's really good to use for the soup. And you put some egg noodles in there. Another note is a soft carbohydrate like egg noodles, white rice, things that are easy to digest. Those are also really good to have during recovery. What else am I putting in here? I gotta dig through my bags. Oh yes, my ginormous bag of carrots. So that's always good to have in a chicken noodle soup. You just cut those up, make sure they get nice and soft, and put those in there. Also celery, I had some of that in my fridge already, so I didn't get any on this grocery run. And then turmeric. So gonna make a good chicken noodle soup. I'm excited about that. That'll be a good, healthy, soft, fibrous, gut healthy meal. Something else that I like to enjoy soup-based is a good zucchini basil soup. Similarly, I'll cut the zucchini up, I'll saute it with some ginger and onion and spices, let that get really soft, and then put a bone broth with it, boil it up, make sure it squishes into a soup basically, and then you blend it up, and then you add some fresh basil. I have some in my garden, so I'll be picking some from there. And then you blend in the basil to the soup, and that makes a really delicious, gut healthy zucchini basil soup. So that's another really good recommendation and recipe for you. Something else that I like to do is sweet potatoes. So what I like to do is bake the sweet potato like you would any baked potato, or boil it, just get it really soft. And just as simple as putting some coconut butter on it. I really like the flavor of coconut, so it doesn't tend to bother me, and it's also really good for you. So I like to, again, just make the potato nice and soft, and then put this coconut butter on it, teeny bit of salt, and it is so good. It's one of my favorite gut healthy snacks. And lastly, as far as recommendations that I have, is I really like to juice in my juicer. I wish I had more time to do it. Before I had a baby, I would juice a lot more often. It's just the reality of having a baby, a toddler. I'm gonna try and be better about it, but definitely during this recovery, I'm going to be incorporating this into my diet. So what I do for my anti-inflammatory juice is I juice some carrots in there, pineapple spears. I buy mine pre-cut just to make life easier. I found this lovely little blend of fresh ginger and turmeric, again with the ginger and turmeric, but this, if you can find it fresh, it's way better than powdered. So this I like to stick into the juice as well. It definitely provides a really strong flavor in there, but again, does wonders for inflammation. You squeeze a lemon into the juice as well, and then kind of dilute it a bit with either fresh water or coconut water. And I used to drink that every morning before I put anything else into my stomach, and it was a great way to start the day. It always kind of gave me a little energy boost and made my stomach feel really good. So if you have a juicer or you're able to do that, I would definitely recommend doing what I call Chanel's anti-inflam juice, morning juice. And then of course, drink a lot of water. I've been trying to do that as much as I can. Again, I'm not great about that, but I've been trying in this last week at least, and going to moving forward to just chug my water bottle, because water keeps things moving, keeps the body hydrated, and it's nothing but good for you. That is my recommendation. These are my recommendations. If you have any questions or if you have any suggestions for me, I've still got a couple more days until the surgery, so I'm willing to take any and all advice. And I just wanted to thank everyone so much for the support that you've already shown me on this channel. I feel the love, and I'm feeling really excited to document my journey of recovery with everyone. And I'm really hopeful that these steps that I'm taking will be beneficial in my recovery, and I will take any prayers, good thoughts, light energy, positive vibes, whatever you can throw my way during this next week while I have surgery and while I'm recovering. Yeah, that's it for tonight. So thank you again for tuning into CCCC TV. If you like the content, make sure and comment or subscribe or give me a like or whatever you want to do. And I hope you all have a wonderful night.